Okay, guys, now that we're getting into the groove here, literally, what I want to do is focus on the hand drums section that we kind of heard in a few of those songs. And what I'm going to do is start with this. There's this sample called the Djembe 120 beats per minute, and it sounds a little bit like this. So you can hear there's lots of different hits in there for us, which is awesome because we have plenty of variety available when we want to create some different hits to make it sound a little bit more realistic. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to press Command-Shift-T and open up a new MIDI track, and maybe we'll color it orange. And what I'm going to do is drag this sample straight into that MIDI track, and I'm going to go to slice mode so that instead of playing out as one long loop, what we're going to do is map every single sample to each key in our keyboard, which is really nice because then that allows us to use all that variation that's available inside this long loop. So the other thing I like to do is make sure that the playback mode is on poly instead of mono, because that allows, like, if you play two drums that are close together, especially in a rhythm like this, or a rhythmic style track like this, they can both play at the same time, which is a nice way to keep things a little bit more realistic. So there's not all these choke points everywhere. We can leave the voices at 6, and I'm going to just increase the pitch of this a little bit. You can also hear that there's a little bit of clicking at the beginning of each one of these, so let's just increase the fade-in time. I like to do it about 5 milliseconds, especially with a hand drum like this. Like, you can get away with a little bit slower of a fade in. Normally I might do like 1 or 2 milliseconds, but 5 sounds pretty good. And let's also do the fade out too, so you can get rid of the clicks on the other side. I'm just going to increase it to a little over a second here. In the MIDI folder that I'll provide, in the drum section, there's one called hand drum Djembe start with this. And this is just one pattern that I played in by hand. It sounds like this. And it's really nice to start with something like this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to move around some of the accented notes all over the place. So if I unfold this, we now have access to all of the other hits that are on the keyboard. And I'm going to turn the headphones off for just a second here. So what I like to do is take some of these. You can see the brighter notes are the ones with the higher velocity. Those are kind of the louder accents, and I like to just find a nice slice in this sampler that we have going, just to move those onto, so that's not playing all the same drum at the same time. But this just gives you kind of a skeletal layout for your rhythm, which is why I like to do this. So again, just play it on one key, and then we're going to move around the MIDI notes to find some other cool hits. So maybe we want to use this one and this one. And you can also obviously make sure that the things are repeating in a certain way. There's no real science to this. You're just kind of dragging it up and down and finding cool little hits. So like these first 4, for example, we don't want them all to be on the same one either. So maybe we'll something a little bit more subtle. Yeah, so I think this first part is kind of cool. So if you wanted to, you could kind of stick with something like this, like, or maybe you wanted to get a little bit more intricate and choose some of these other ones, which is what I like to do. I like to make sure that we're using all of the available options. We'll change some other ones for this. And also you'll notice too that when you want things to sound more natural, keep the slices close together. It's not always true, but generally true. Especially like for the accented ones, the ones that are a little bit louder, it's kind of nice to have these, like, the ones that are next to each other in the audio tend to just gel a little bit more nicely. But there's no rules at all. So we might do something like this. And you'll also hear too that there's, let me see if I can find one. There's like a couple in here that are like a double hit. That one. And this one too. So you can create like a little, you hear that? There's kind of like a little triplet thing, which is pretty fun to use. So what I'd recommend you do is just kind of play around with the orientation of some of those notes, and you might end up with something like this, right? So this is kind of the pattern that I want to use here. Let's take a listen to what it sounds like. One thing I like to do too with these loops is increase the amount that the velocity or the volume, excuse me, changes with the velocity. So I'm just going to bump up. It was at 35%, and I like to just increase it to make the playing a little bit more dynamic. Dynamics are good, right? And then lastly, let's just, I have a little rack here that I'm going to throw on real quick. It's just a little bit of compression and EQ here to finish things off. So I'm kind of de-accentuating this stuff, increasing the bottom end a little bit, and let's just take it down, make it a little more balanced. Now there's also a couple more hand drum style things I want to drag in here, and one of them is called, I think it's pronounced Dolak or Dolak. It's just it's from another one of these loops here, and I'll show you what it sounds like here. But instead of playing it all the way up here, I'm actually going to play it way down here. So this is 2 octaves down. I think this is C1. Yeah. So let's see if we can find a cool cool pattern that we can use. Almost kind of like a kick drum. To make sure that, you know, we add a little bit more variety than just those like higher pitched hand drums. And then there's also one other one I wanted to use too. It's a tabla right here. Okay, so let's also drag this in, and let me just let me rename these so it's a little bit more clear. We've got our Djembe, Dolak, and our Tabla. Okay, and lastly, let's just drag in this little pattern here, and we have a nice little hand drum thing going. And I'll pan this to the left. The other thing I'm going to do too is when you have a group of percussion elements like this, sometimes it's nice to group them within the drums group just to make things a little bit easier to balance later on, because we want to save ourselves a little bit of time if we can. So I'm going to press Command G, and I'm just going to call this our hand drum group inside of our drum group here. So it's a group within a group, groupception. And now when we drag this down, get a little bit more balanced. We can even add a little bit of reverb or something like this. Yeah. So that's a nice little start. And now let's add in let's continue adding some more percussion elements so we can fill this out to closer to what we heard in the references.